I wanted to reach out. I'm Scott Forcino from Real Brokerage. It's late in October the 24th, I guess, and I wanted to address a few things that I'm hearing about and that people have reached to me and want my thoughts. We're hearing that business is as usual with regard to buyer agent compensation, and I believe that's true. Keep in mind the rules changed or were implemented on August 17th, and it's now about 9 weeks later. I throw out August and early September because we're getting kids back in school, and we're really into this new commission economy for about 5 or 6 weeks, 5 weeks, really. So anything that's 5 weeks old is in its infancy. And we had all the momentum of 100 years of paying commission by the sellers. And we also have, whether we like it or not, the prevailing position and the viewpoint is that if you don't offer compensation as a seller, no one's going to show your home. Whether we want to address that as an unethical approach or not, it's understood because somehow all the properties were required to be an MLS offer of compensation. And then on a dime from March 14th to March 15th, the industry was told it had to change its wicked ways. And that's what NAR agreed to stay in business. So I'm not surprised that sellers are paying what I call monopoly money because there's been such a huge uprise since COVID in equity. And what is 2% out of all the money that no one earned, their home value while they slept? So I'm not at all surprised. It seems from industry experts that there's large degree of compliance with this requirement to have a buyer agent agreement contract signed. I know there's still some opposition by some buyers, but I think there's been an assurance, and even in the relatively new series of contracts that were executed by buyers and sellers are still wishing to pay. Now, the thing that's changed a bit is that it no longer is an MLS requirement, or there's a blanket offer of compensation. No longer is there really appropriately any buyer's agent calling around and asking what is being offered. They basically become accustomed, I think, to be compliant, must contain a request for an offer of compensation in an offer. So after the buyer agreement is signed, then properties are shown. Then you can say, I want that green carpet removed, I want a new roof, and please pay my commission. And that is working because it's been understood to be in the best interest of the seller and all parties. I think that's going to change. I'm on record right now saying that's going to change because sellers are realizing they can pay less. They are soon or becoming slowly accustomed to their listing agents getting offers from buyers that either refuse to sign that agreement with the buyer, or a buyer's agent, or they're hearing, just as we did in the past, where people picking up the phone from a Zillow listing and want to, or just traditionally in the old days, want to call the listing agent, think they'll get a better deal, or they think they can do it themselves. So I think as that shifts, as more and more buyers reach listing agents, the sellers are going to be become accustomed to evaluating two offers, one with an agent and one without an agent. And it's possibly, based on a listing agent, an assurance that they can handle the deal on both sides. They may not require compensation any more than they agreed to the listing agent, and that we have a smoother deal without a buyer's agent. I know that's a controversial idea, but a seller may want to save 2% of $500,000 or $100 or $1 million. I think the tides will turn. That's what I'm being told by experts, and I'm hearing in the rumblings that status quo will no longer be in place. And then we're really turning to a situation that if and when rates on mortgages go down to, let's say, 4.5 or 5, we'll have an explosion in buyers' eligibility, capability, affordability, and they'll be either reaching out to buyers' agents and may not want to be stigmatized by that cost. But in any case, there'll be so many more buyers in the market. Some will reach the listing agent directly, and the seller's going to have to evaluate offers that include a request for compensation and those that don't. And if there's two capable buyers, all things being equal, I'm sure that the sellers will want to save that commission and may want to have their own broker handle the entire transaction with them without facing any opposition, all from buyer's agent. No representation at all for the buyer. That's what I imagine is the status quo exists. It's a baby. It's an embryo right now. There's no reason to think that this is going to continue. Market conditions everywhere. If a gallon of gas was $1, you'd go to that station. I think that we're living under the cloud of a vestige of a prior arrangement, which is really possibly feasible, no longer feasible. I think that's what's going to be changing. And on to the topic of, I want to say, working with referral partners. I think that they are not being affected. Lenders, title companies, and home inspectors who are reliant on realtors' referrals, they're hearing not much from agents. They're hearing that buyers' agents are still enforced, and in effect, there is business as usual, and they haven't felt the pain of losing agents. So, on top of yesterday or today's report that sales are down to 2010 levels, and year over year, it's 3 or 4% less from an already declining market of 2023. We are in danger of losing agents who don't want to pay the upcoming dues, who are 94, 95% not productive. NAR statistics say that 94, 95% are doing fewer than 4, maybe 5 deals a year, and 49, 50% do 0. So we have a workforce that's really not engaged. I don't know how lenders are unaware that should their referral partners, buyer's agents, become incapable of gaining the agreement between their prospective clients signed, how they won't any longer be in transactions and they will not any longer be able to refer business. I think that there's a need to get involved from these preliminary forces, the realtors, the first line of defense. I don't know how there's not a complete need to support them and make sure that they stay in business as far as being compliant and proficient at explaining the need for them to be hired and paid. The buyer's agents no longer exist. Everyone must become a buyer's agent, just like college kids don't exist unless you apply and are admitted into college. A kid walking around is not a college student until they become one. Before, a buyer's agent would wake up, they had an automatic payday, they had a guarantee of income. The arbitration clause between the companies and any respective board would make sure they get paid. Now those things are different. Those are out the window, and a buyer's agent has to demonstrate why they're competent and they have to prove their worth to be hired. If I was a lender or a title company or a home inspector, I would look at that really circumspect and wonder if my referral partners are going to be able to stick around. They have never, as a whole, been able to have these agreements signed on the first day and for 100% of the commission to be paid by the buyer. I'm hearing that other states required it. I get that. But in New York State, when the seller was paying the bill, it was largely a situation that buyers did not sign agreements because they did not want to demonstrate their own loyalty. So I'm here. I don't want to be a doomsday predictor, but I believe sharply that the incidence of sellers paying commission is going to wane and wane and wane. And sellers are going to see the difference in the possible profit from the sale of the home when they can avoid paying full 2 commissions. I think that listing agents are going to be open to doing more work in order to secure the listing. They know that they're competing for a listing with someone who wants 2 commissions and they're going to offer 1. I know many capable brokers that say, I can handle it. Some want to be paid more. They can make that offer to their seller client and see if it's a deal. Who knows? They may have to do more work. It may be double the work, and maybe that type of effort is going to be required. But my thought is that there's, except for this little preliminary period, business as usual will not stick. And I think that lenders, title, and home inspection companies are in grave risk of relying on the people who said they were buyer's agents who have not yet become buyer's agents. We're going to turn around. It's going to be Christmas. It's going to be the springtime. It's going to be summer. and there'll be a huge fall off of buyer's agents, and it will be a situation where the referral partners, as I call them, the ancillary service providers, will not be able to rely on the referral partner staying in business. I'd love to hear your questions. So anyone can reach me through this platform, Scott Forcino, 914-879-8411. Thanks quite a bit. Take care.